Gaia. I have traveled out of the States and into the desert here. With messages of union and divinity. How you are here on the land, just like me. And together we are walking our own way. And what's in between all polarities is a very subtle space. I like to call it the eclipse, and I've been in such a deep eclipse season since 2017, the eclipse. I think that really initiated me. And there's an eclipse coming up in August 12th, next month. And there's something about the eclipse where the sun and the moon come together as one. And, hey Matt. And what is that? What really is that moment, that unity between those polarities, between the sun and the moon? There's a moment, there's a substance, and I like to call it the ah. Ah. I like to call it the ah, the primordial sound in which all life exists, because ah can be a scary sound. It can be when you're in frustration, like ah, and ah can be like a happy sound, like ah, like laughing, ah, and ah can be a sexy sound of unity and orgasm, so lovely. The oohs and the ahs, and it's that sound, ah, it's such a subtle place. It's such a sensitive place, because one frequency can shift between, are you happy? Are you screaming? Are you orgasming? Are you enjoying? And it's very, very subtle place, this in-between. However, it's so important, especially when remembering our power, our collective power. This world is full of beauty, and this world is also full of tragedy. And it's really interesting to understand how to balance. And it's through these in-betweens and through understanding there's nothing separate here in this whole entire perception. There's not one thing that exists separate from another. Energetically, we are deeply entwined. And on a very quantum level, which means on a very tiny, minute, very small level, that awe connects it all. Ooh, have I heard? I didn't quite see your comment. So I'm not sure. But, it's a very subtle place to exist in that awe. And the om, those four sounds, those primordial sounds. It's a magic. It's a medicine. It's an understanding. You can be on one side of the coin, you can be on the other, but there is a point where there's an edge where both of those sides connect. And that's how it is in all of life. And I do feel like that eclipse, it brings us to that understanding and to that awe and to that very fragile reality that we are. Matt, you're saying, I was reading a way to communicate with our Creator is to sing the vowels A, E, I, O, U, and sometimes Y. Yeah, singing and joy is definitely a way to communicate with Creator, with yourself, and what you're bringing in with your thoughts, what you're bringing in to your life. Singing and joy. Find your song, find your joy, find your magic. That is power. That's your power and that's your place. And in that awe moment, you can see like, oh, torture and screaming and laughter and joy and orgasm, they all come from the same sound. And isn't that interesting? And it's our choice. We have so much power in our mind. We have so much power in our expression, in our being. And we have so much power that pulses through every inch of our interconnected web of atoms and cells that are creating our life and our perception. And it's a perfect cosmos, our bodies, a cosmos of cells and atoms and water and all the things that create us. It's a perfect expression, and that's why we get to perceive it. We get to live it because it's perfect. And not one of your cells exists separate, from the organ, from the perfection that is the being that you are, that we are, that I am. And just bringing a little attention to that, because I feel the awe is where our powers of being in the center, staying in that, meditation, staying in that ground, staying in that center. Thank you, Matt. I appreciate you. I'm out here in the sunshine and the peace and the nature. It's easy to glow here, so thank you. And thank you for tuning in and sharing your wisdom. We all have pieces of this great puzzle. And I believe that we, as a human collective, can figure out our own pathway to self-realization and heal and come together. I believe it. And it's through recognizing that awe, that there is nothing really separated here. All the things that separate us is from our own fragility and from our own choices that we make. And we can make better choices, especially when we realize that there is no polarization. It's all connected. Like, of course, we live in duality. There's one side and there's another, but they're connected so deeply. And recognizing that and just giving space for that. Like, I may be on this side and think that, but that other side, the opposing side, I'm connected to it. It's not that my reality is denying their reality. We're actually very, very connected. It's like sisters, like twins. And I think the feeling of disconnection, the feeling of polarization is where a lot of these fundamental, expressions of life come from. And it's not really in line with how the universe expresses itself, which is totally complete, totally connected. And it's through our interconnection that we witness each other, and we witness all this madness, all this craziness, all this love, all this light. And it's really in that center that you can find that middle ground and that peace. And if you can stay there, it's pretty profound in that realization, and be able to really recognize and appreciate both sides of your own scenarios, whether you pick one or the other. It's a respect, it's a recognition, it's a connection. And even just subtle things like this can really change the way that we express and we share. It's less divided. And I have so much compassion because this universe is perfect because it's alive, and our bodies are perfect because we're alive. We can perceive it. And it's up to us what we do with our perfection. And what we have done, unfortunately, is kind of get stuck in a web of war and pain and trauma. And it's really affected, I feel, our free will and the free wills of those that are born with societies that train them into being these beings of war and where really does the free will go? Is it really, a free will decision? And I question that, when I see things that I don't like, I'm like, okay, like how free is this person really? And I have compassion. I do, and it's in that awe, in that space where I see the interconnectedness of all beings that compassion really grows and sprouts. In that recognizing that we're all connected no matter what, whether we like it or not. We are all here in the great desert of life, figuring it out, eclipsing our own sun. I am on a trip right now. I'm going to Colorado, and I'm going with my best friend in the world, so I'm so lucky. We are, her name is Chloe, and we are going into a place that has not been touched by human civilization, and it's a wonderful land. I'll keep you posted, and I'm going to show her my magic, and I'm going to show her how I do the things that I do, because we're going to do it together. And so I want to show her in my totality what I have come up with, what I have integrated, what I've witnessed. And I'm going to show her in the middle of the country. I'm going to pray for our country. I love this country. I believe in this country. I believe in this earth. I believe in the power of our great land, our land ancestors who watch us, who protect us, the great wakas. I believe in the love that is here for all of us. And I pray. So I'm going to go and pray. I'm going to open up a channel, and I'm going to expose my wisdom to my best friend. And I'm going to pray for this country, right in the middle of it, right in Colorado, right in the heart. And I'm so lucky to be able to do this, to be able to tune in, to be able to be here in my busy life. I'm a mama and a teacher, and in my busy life I'm able to figure it out. I'm able to come, and because Spirit really has been guiding me, and really has been watching over me, and really has been allowing me in its own way. I like to call it Sky Daddy has been taking care of me, because I don't know how I do it on my own. I swear I'm not doing it on my own. I'm here with the land. I'm here with my ancestors, and I'm here with the critters and with the benevolent beings that understand that and can be in it, and to hold it, and to hold space. And in that connection, possibly all of that can turn into and that's the medicine, coming to that center point, and then getting to choose what experience do I want is the good kind. The all is coming together. And so I'm standing here in the middle of the desert. God bless you. Thank you for your compliments. And I'm doing it for us. I'm doing it for this world. I'm doing it for the collective consciousness, for putting it out there in the human psychosphere that I'm calling in profound love and beauty in this existence for all beings to feel liberated, and to feel their power, and to feel that they are situated in that awe, and they have the power to choose. And we have the power to come together and inspire this. And in my own little way, with my own tiny little feet, I got size 7.5 feet. I walk along this path and this pathway forward to meditate, to ground, and to ask all the primordial spirits, all our ancient beings, all our ancestors, all the rock beings and the tree beings, and all the beings of this life that are connected to us, to healing medicine and magic. And this is my journey, this is my path, this is what I do. And in my way, I find the most amazing moments. And being in a place like this, 360, surrounded by mountains and hot springs. My best friend singing in the distance. Bringing peace on earth in my heart. From great compassion. Because I see so clearly how fucked up it all is. It really is fucked up. We have been taught to nucleate ourselves, to separate, and we wonder why we feel so powerless. It's unfortunate that these master mass manipulators have done what they've done to allow our bodies to be manipulated by their control before we even know what's going on. And if you're lucky enough to witness it and change, you're very lucky. Some people are very stuck in whatever program that they were exposed to, especially if it's war and they're, forced to hurting and first to hurting this planet and hurting themselves. It's any act, I believe, of war is self-defeating, and it's an act of betrayal, it's deep self-betrayal, and it's so disassociating from the soul. And you can disassociate from your soul, sure. It doesn't mean you're disconnected, because we are all connected always. And you always are connected to your soul. Whether you sell it or you disconnect and you don't embody, it's attached to you like a golden thread of armor that I wear proudly. Unfortunately, there are beings that are so disembodied that they're just kind of tied to it. And I pray for those beings. To embody is to choose. And sometimes in a crazy world, you want to choose crazy, right? Oh, hi, Miss Rand. I'm out here in Colorado. Actually, not Colorado yet. I'm in the middle of Utah. And I'm walking in the desert, praying, and talking about how we're all connected through the primordial sound of Ah. And in that sound, Ah, it's such a gentle sound. It's such a powerful sound, and it incorporates all the spectrum of extreme craziness and war and screaming your head off because it's so crazy, and joy. And when you're laughing so much, you're crying ah. And I don't know if you've ever had that experience of you're so upset and you're ah, then it kind of turns into this crazy laugh and you're ah, ha, 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 mad scientist laugh. Or if you're so much in joy and you're ha, ha, and you start crying and you're oh, but it's joy. It's interesting because that one sound incorporates all. And Matt, you're saying it's okay for us to create beauty ourselves and not rely on what we've been taught. Exactly. Yes, this is our power. Yes, yes, 100%. Yes. Not only is it okay, it's our power. It's what we can do. It doesn't matter what's on our table. We are sitting at it. We can do what we want because we can, and we're alive. And it doesn't really, your choices, as much as they may be conflicting with your reality, as much as they may be, controlled by your reality, we still have the ultimate power of choice. And sometimes you can't rely on anything. My heart has been broken into millions of pieces, right? For the situation on Earth that we live in as a human species. And in that moment of just total like disarray, that ah sings it all back together. It's like, oh wait, there's more here. We haven't been conquered. Trust me, if we could have been conquered, we would have. If the soul could have been conquered, if the ah could have been conquered to just ah and not ah, it would have. And I really feel like, there's a reason why that ah is unconquerable. And that's the compassion. It's like, okay, we've really undergone lots of programming from our overlords and our controllers, and it's torn us apart, and it's nucleated our families, and it's separated us, and it's perpetuated our minds with constant trauma and war and all the things. And still, in the silence, in the sound, it's not all bad. It's not all screams. The ah can be relief. The ah is the compassion, and it is the power that moves us forward. And so for me, I think about this a lot, like in the meditative world, it's like, oh, to be content, to be kind of in the middle ground. Ah, to me, is that middle ground. And it connects, and it's so subtle, It's so subtle. Our life is so subtle. And I encourage you to take control and to take power and to take yourself out of the equation of what you're experiencing and put yourself into silence and into yourself and go in within and sit with that awe, and to have compassion for yourself and for the world around us as it is in chaos and is crazy. And also, look, it is at peace. There was wild donkeys here last night. Wild donkeys. It's the human world is not the only thing that's going on. However, it's our thing, right? As humans, it's our thing. So I encourage you to tap into that ah moment, in that grace, in that reality, that we have the power to choose what side of the ah we want to exist on. And for me, I'm in the ah, like, And I thank this earth, I thank this planet, I thank the Mother Earth, I thank the Father Sun, I thank the polarities, each side of the coin, because it's a whole thing, it's a whole life that we live, and it's up to us to steward what we want to continue bringing in, which for me is more love and more compassion and more understanding. And in my embodiment, I'm walking toward my own self-realization. And I am so grateful to have my friends encouraging me, and to have you all out here. We are out here together. We may be separate bodies, but we're on planet, and something's got to give. And that's something I believe is going to be birthed from that. And so I'm going to invite you to just be here with me as I'm walking in this desert. This beautiful desert. And remember that this earth is huge, so big. There's so much here. There's so much here. And you're here. Thank you for being here. I hope. Talk soon. I'll keep you posted.